Hello everyone, welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. This is Cassie. Today we're going to be making an Easter card. Let's talk about what we're using before we get into it too much. We're going to be using the brand new Vintage Bunny stamp set. I'm so excited to color this one up because I haven't done that yet. And we do have the matching die. We're also going to be using the Slimline Layered Eggs Stencil. I have used this before and I love it. And then we're going to be using the Slimline Dainty Scalloped Edge die. This is a little bit older, but it is fabulous. And I'm going to pair that up. You'll see what I'm talking about here when we get to it. So let's make our background. I have some of the Trinity Stamps mixed media paper that I've trimmed down to be the same size as the slim lines that I typically make, which would be 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And I've tacked this down to my tonic platform. And then I'm going to go through the rainbow. I've got my blending buddy, and that first color I'm using is a red. It is called Love Struck. And I'll blend that red on there, and then I'm going to like skip every other color, because this is a 2-layer stencil, or I guess 2-part. So I'm moving on to my yellow, and so I'll just blend that on there. Then I'm going to move on to my blue, and this color is more of like a teal blue. It's really pretty. And I do have blending buddies for each of my color families. I find for me, because I create all the time, and I'm kind of lazy as far as cleaning them goes, so I like to have one for every one of my color families. And then we're going to move on to our purple. So here's our purple. We're putting that down, and we'll blend that in pretty good. And then when we're done blending, we're going to move this stencil down, because as you can see, there are openings at the top. And this is so easy to move down and line up because there are embossed lines to help you do so. So I've got that lined up, then I'll tack that down again with my magnets. And then I don't trust myself, so I am going to use a tiny bit of mint tape just to mask off the top. When I get to blending, sometimes I'm not paying attention to how far I go up. So there I'm bringing in an orange color, and I'll blend that up there, which it's a good thing I did put that mint tape down. That would have gone above the stencil. I'll move my tape over, and I'm going to move on to a green now. And I'll realize it here. And then I'll put that green down, and then our final color will be more of like a pinky purple type color. So we'll use that blending buddy for that one as well. And then when I pull this away, it just looks so good. I love the rainbow look of it. Oh, the anticipation, right? Pull that away, and look at those eggs all layered up like that. I'm going to spritz a tiny bit of water on there, get some big old droplets, let that sit for a bit, and then I will pick that water up, and then I'm going to let that dry. While that's drying, I am going to work on another piece of mixed media paper. I am blending on some more like a lime green, and I just want this on the edges because this is where I'm going to bring in that Slimline Dainty Scalloped Edge die. So like I said, I just need this on the edges. I don't need to do the full sheet. And I'm taking even from my tonic platform, just kind of grabbing some of that color as well. Now these two are two separate pieces, and they do, the way they die cut is actually really cool by themselves, but I'm going to put them together because I want a frame. And I have some more of that mint tape just kind of holding that in place. And then I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine, and there's the frame that I'm going to get. We'll use that later, but I'm going to go ahead now and watercolor our little bunny. I'm going to start out I'm watercoloring at 2 times the speed I normally would. We are going to bump that up to about 4 times the speed. And I'm actually using pretty much all the same colors that I did for my ink blending, except the color of our rabbit is a lighter brown. And I'm using just a water brush. I have taken that ink and I've just put it right onto my glass mat, and I'm picking that up with my water brush, and then once that kind of dries, I'll bring in some more of that color just to add a little bit of depth to our bunny. Then I've got a darker brown that I'm coloring the basket with. And just kind of trying to keep some of that light, some of it going a little bit darker. But like I said, when I am done and it's dry, I'll come back in with that same color just to add a little bit more dimension. So we're going to make his little... It's like a cute little tuxedo on a bunny. I think that's so cute. And we're going to bring in some darker color there. I love doing it, that teal blue. He's so cute. And then we'll bring in some pink for his bow tie. And then we'll dilute that quite a bit. And we'll use that same color for his vest and the inside of his jacket. And then we're going to color all the eggs, the other colors that we used earlier. So we've got some yellow. We're going to do that same color on our egg, and then some purple, and then the rest of the colors on the inside. We're going to let that dry just a bit, but I did want to show you some gold painting. Now, using some sort of metallic paint is a wonderful way to add a lot of detail and a fun detail to whatever it is that you have going on. And since these are eggs, I thought this would be fun to just kind of paint some designs on our eggs. I am using stripes, and I'm going to be using dots. And they're not going to be perfect, as you can already tell. These are not lined up perfectly, and some of the lines are a little thicker, some of them are a little thinner. I think that's okay. And we're going to do stripes on every other color egg, and then we're going to do dots on the rest of them. But I'll share with you a way that you can kind of fix a multitude of, not mistakes per se, but like imperfections. Keeping in mind that this is a handmade card, and I think that this is something fun that just adds a little extra that, that really adds to the element of it being handmade. I mean, look at my dots. They're not really dots, obviously. They're not even really ovals. But if I were to paint eggs myself, this is probably how they would look. And I'm okay with that. And this is also going to be mostly in the background. So again, we'll move on and do some more dots. I'm even trying to add some to the edges to add to the idea that these eggs are rounded. So that'll give even more dimension. The sizes of my dots are not similar. Or, I mean, they're not the same. They're similar, but they're not the same. And we'll just go all the way down. And again, I'm not super concerned about whether or not these are perfect. They don't need to be, and I'm okay with that. And then we'll finish up our dots, and then we're going to kind of let that dry before we do the next step that I wanted to share with you. So I want to put this frame down, and to do that, I also want it to have some dimension. So I'm going to bring in the foam adhesive strips that Trinity Stamps has recently come out with. I love these. I use them all the time. They're the perfect size. They work wonderfully on so many of the sentiments that Trinity Stamps carries. And I thought it would be perfect for this border. So we'll just peel off all of that release paper on the back of those. And then we're going to stick this down right on top of our eggs. And then to kind of cover up some of that, like the fact that the lines aren't straight and my circles aren't circles, we're going to add splatter. And I love splatter because splatter is one of those things that can just kind of detract from the fact that that is not perfect. Once again, it's a background, so it doesn't need to be perfect, and your recipient's going to love it no matter what. And it's gold, so I love it. So we'll clean up our mess. I should have probably used a splatter box, but instead now I just have to clean up the mess because I got splatters everywhere for sure. And we're going to sort of let that dry. While that is drying, check it out. There's a lot of splattery goodness and shine and shimmer. I love that. We are going to grab out the matching dies that we have for our vintage bunny, run that through our die cutting machine, and then use some foam squares on the back of both our sentiment and our bunny, peel off that release paper, and then we'll put those down. And I don't think that I had mentioned it, but the gold splatter that I used, that is the Trinity palette. Now, it's not going to look the same in the store. I have the older palette. The newer palette is a little bit smaller, which makes it a little bit less expensive, which is nice. I'm going to bring it in again because this is the inside of the card. I just did the exact same thing as far as blending those colors on that I did earlier. I didn't add stripes or circles, but I did add lots of splatter. And that measured 7 inches by 8.5 inches and scored at 3.5 inches. So now our base is ready to receive our panel. And so I'm going to use some Crafty Gluefriend on the back of that, and then we can glue that down. You could go ahead and grab some embellishments. Some fun gold sequins would be really nice, but I'm going to leave this here just as is. I am so happy with how this turned out, and I hope you like it too. If you do, please hit that like button. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And definitely be sure to check out all that Trinity Stamps has going on over on their blog, Facebook page, and Instagram for more crafty inspiration. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you soon.